Did you get mauled by a tiger?
It was a dog.
Huh?
It was a big dog!
I love Roman Reigns. I have always loved Roman Reigns. However, I have always hated the presentation of Roman Reigns. Original, I know. See, Roman Reigns is probably my favorite WWE star right now, and I've wanted that to be the case since probably 2013. WWE's inability to make Roman succeed as a babyface has been written about a lot over the years, so I won't focus too much on that here. But for the sake of those who may not be as familiar, here's everything WWE did wrong with Roman Reigns. Kept the Shield presentation. Said tater tots and sufferin' succotash and was a funny man. Did jack shit in the 2015 Royal Rumble. Took Daniel Bryan's main event spot. Lost all the fucking time. Walked out in the 2016 Royal Rumble. Retired The Undertaker. Well, JK, you thought. Kept reuniting the Shield. Didn't care about anything. WWE refused to turn him heel. So with this mountain of mistakes, how did WWE finally fix this guy? Well, they just stopped doing all these mistakes. That's it. That's the show, guys. But seriously, there is a lot going on with Roman Reigns right now, making him by far WWE's top guy, and one of the top guys in wrestling in general. So, here is my look at how WWE fixed Roman Reigns. First, Roman Reigns wrestles better as a heel. Now that may sound odd at first, but allow me to elaborate. WWE has a very distinct style when it comes to their matches. It usually involves the babyface selling for the majority of the match before doing their comeback and going to the finish. This formula has been used for tons of great matches over the years, but one of the problems with it is WWE will still use it even when it doesn't fit the occasion. One example I like to use here is at TLC 2017. On this show, Asuka made her main roster debut against Emma, someone who was rarely used and pushed even less often. Debuting as the dominant, undefeated force from NXT, Asuka should have steamrolled Emma in her debut. It made no sense for Asuka to sell for the majority of the match, but that's what happened because that's just how WWE does things. Now apply this line of thinking to babyface Roman Reigns. Reigns is not the kind of babyface that should be selling for the majority of the match. Look at this big, mean, ass-kicking Samoan and tell me you want to see him sit in a headlock for half a match. If he's going to sell, it should be similar to his first match with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 31. Taking the punishment but quipping that that's the best Brock's got.
Yeah, I'm a bad bitch, you can't kill me.
Although I will note, Brock's matches don't use the same formula as other WWE matches, and therefore they actually work. Maybe we can just get rid of this formula actually. Now, I have been saying for years that Roman needs to turn heel. Not because he was getting booed, but because he would play this role better. And the evidence I point to comes in the form of two matches. The 5-on-5 Survivor Series match in 2013, and Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank 2016. The former was one of Roman's first breakout moments as the Shield and the Real Americans took on the Brothers Rhodes, the Usos, and Rey Mysterio. Reigns was fighting from behind the entire match but ended up being the sole survivor, eliminating Goldust and Rey Mysterio on his own. While this did have babyface elements, understandable as WWE was still planning on giving him a big babyface push, Reigns was able to hide his weaknesses as a performer while also being pushed as a major star and an unstoppable monster, but also one with a ton of swagger.
You came all the way back for this to get dogged out?
I mean, look at this Aquaman looking motherfucker. He looks so cool. This is the type of cool that gets you cheered organically over time. If they'd continued with this presentation of Roman, I don't know that we would have gotten the 5 years of frustration we ended up getting. Now, the other match is very different and also quite odd. See, at Money in the Bank 2016, interest in Roman was pretty low despite him being WWE champion. He wasn't hated to the level he was in 2015 or even in 2017, he was just kind of there. Meanwhile, Seth Rollins returned from his knee injury, and despite being very popular, he returned as a heel. But their title match was signed, and for some reason, Roman worked heel and Seth worked babyface. And it really worked! This match is better known as the match where Dean Ambrose cashed in Money in the Bank, so WWE probably won't be bringing that up anytime soon, but the match stands as a perfect example of Roman being better suited for a heel role. Roman was the one dominating the match, being arrogant, cutting Rollins off, while Seth sold and fought to make comebacks. If you watch this match with the mindset of Roman being the face, it does not work at all. Roman appears so much more comfortable in this role, and for years I pointed to this match specifically as evidence, and now they've done it and I'm right and I'm the smartest man alive.
Vindication!
But there are a lot of people who have been put in their perfect role who haven't been given the tools to succeed. So let's continue onward because Roman Reigns also benefited from long-term, nuanced storytelling. Now, long-term storytelling has become something of a buzzword in recent years because of WWE's inability to execute this kind of narrative. A lot of people have come to think that long-term storytelling is just the answer to WWE's problems, when really that's more of a half-truth. I don't consider a story that just keeps going a long-term story. Rather, a proper long-term story should have a goal in mind for the end of the story, or at the very least, should have things happening at the start still be relevant at the end. I go more into detail on this topic in my video on Chris Jericho and Shawn Michaels rivalry, so check that out if you want to hear more. Bringing this back to Roman Reigns, since returning at SummerSlam 2020, Roman has been involved in one long, overarching storyline. Not only that, but one of the best in wrestling in general. Having his rivalry with Jey Uso right off the bat allowed fans to have an immediate introduction to Roman's new attitude, new motivation, and new goals. The family dynamic with the Bloodline has been a fantastic running storyline, while WWE has kept matches fresh by allowing Roman to face a wide range of opponents. This is how you keep storylines interesting, people. Instead of having Reigns and the Usos wrestle on every show for months, as is often the case in WWE, Roman has been having great matches with Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens, Daniel Bryan, Edge, and Cesaro. This is why the storyline has been good, but you know why it has been great? Nuance. WWE is not an entertainment brand known for their subtlety. More often than not, they hit you over the head with details to make sure that you know what is happening. This can be effective sometimes, but the Roman Reigns storyline has been different. It has treated the viewers with respect. Look at this scene from the May 14th, 2021 episode of SmackDown. Roman Reigns is tired of being disrespected by James Uso and challenges him to take initiative and beat Cesaro. But just look at the subtle facial reactions Roman, Jey, and Paul Heyman give throughout this segment. This is a different level of detail for WWE storytelling, and for once it is WWE showing subtlety. They're not in a rush to tell this story, and that is so refreshing because we as fans don't want it to be over. Credit needs to be given to Paul Heyman as the man behind this storyline, as it is clear WWE still cannot write good shit on their own. So I will tip my hat and raise my glass to you, Mr. Heyman. ECW should have won. But my final point, the final factor in how WWE fixed Roman Reigns, is wins and losses fucking matter. Somewhere along the way, WWE completely lost the plot regarding wins and losses. Now you've got idiots saying, wins and losses don't count, it's about character. No, you morons, wins and losses count, and they will always count as long as there are wrestling matches. You ever notice how the team that wins the most is usually the most beloved and hated team in the league? Pick any league. Yankees, Patriots, Warriors, winning is a surefire way to get over positively and or negatively. Now pick any league and you will find teams who don't win that no one outside of their city cares about. Columbus Blue Jackets, Colorado Rockies, Pittsburgh Pirates, New York Jets, Orlando Magic. No offense if any of these teams are yours, but come on, if you're a middle-of-the-pack team, no one cares. If you're treated as a middle-of-the-pack WWE star, odds are you're not going to be a big star. And it's obvious some people understand this concept because Roman Reigns has not lost a match by pinfall or submission since December of 2019! As I record this, the person to defeat Roman Reigns is as highly debated a topic as it was when we asked the same question about Brock Lesnar. And that's not because he's the champion. It's because he doesn't lose! Compare this to 2015 when Roman lost to Big Show, Seth Rollins, Bray Wyatt, Sheamus. He just kept losing. And that doesn't just apply to Roman. It seems people who are involved with Roman are booked well by association as well. Look at Cesaro. Before his match with Roman at Backlash, with the exception of the Elimination Chamber match, Cesaro had not lost a match since before the Royal Rumble. The simplest of stories you can tell in wrestling is one guy who doesn't lose wrestles another guy who doesn't lose, and one of them has to lose. This works every time. The idea that there are now people who will argue that this is not a successful booking philosophy completely blows my mind, especially when there is a mountain of evidence to the contrary. And I will bet that if Roman Reigns loses a match before he drops the Universal title, it will be treated like a very big deal, because it would be a very big deal. There are other factors for Roman's recent success as well. Match quality has been impeccable since his return. New gear, new music, new moves. All of these things are the icing, sprinkles, and crushed Oreos on the cake that is the tribal chief Roman Reigns. Whereas the old Roman Reigns was like a cake no one wanted, but you had to eat it anyway, and also someone dropped it frosting down on the floor before you ate it. So in conclusion, I was right, I'm always right, I'm the smartest man alive.
Vindication!
What's going on, guys? Thanks for checking out this video. I'll be honest, I have not gotten a chance to do a whole lot around here as of late. Just been very busy, to tell you the truth. But I am hoping to use this channel a bit more frequently going forward, so make sure to give it a like, give us a subscribe, and ring that bell to stay notified. If you're a Wrestle Talk fan, which, I'll be honest, I think most of you probably are, I've got merch now. Make sure to go to WrestleShop.com, get your LIW merch. It really helped me out. And that just about wraps it up for this time. Bye-bye.